Okay, so um, we are doing a live stream, and I've always said this is something I have always said is that religion is a mental illness. So if the religious folks, which absolutely includes people in my own family, unfortunately, who have thrown around and slung around the word mental illness for people who are not religious or just for things that they just don't agree with. I mean, that's just been a common thing, unfortunately. When someone is frustrated with something or someone, and then they just say, oh, well, your family's mentally ill. Well, why do they do that? Basically, it's just they want to derail the conversation because they don't want to have the conversation, is what it boils down to. And, so there's always religious people who are saying there's something wrong with worldly people. Well, we don't know. I wonder what in the world is worldly people? What can someone tell me what worldly people is? I don't know what a worldly person is because we all live on the planet Earth, including religious people. They live on the planet Earth too, but it seems like they want to live separately. So they have always created this division. Religious people have always created a division and sown discourse throughout the space and time continuum of the history of the United States, I believe, because they're using it to control people. They want people to waste their money on offerings to priests where the priest really doesn't do anything. I mean, now the purpose of the priest is supposed to go and talk to people who are dying and stuff like that, but I'm not even sure that they do that. I mean, I'm really not sure that they even do that at all because of the fact that it just seems like they want to work an hour a day. Doesn't it? I mean, who wouldn't like to work for 1 hour a week? 1 hour a week is what pastors do, is about 1 hour a week, even though they say they do other volunteer stuff in their time. But who wouldn't like to work just 1 hour a week and making a whole bunch of money where people are just giving you money to tell them stuff? Now, someone in my comment section yesterday, they said religion doesn't make them feel good, and I agree with them. Hello, Coca-Cola lover 456. Hello, yeah. Well, and that's the thing we find with religion too, is that they are always working in products into their bulletin. Smelly cheese man, hello. Um, the argument about same gender, that's a personal decision. I'm going to tell you that right off the bat. Even though they get lots of attention, um, that's a personal decision. Just like family planning is a personal decision, just like any type of health issues are a personal decision. However, I will say that gay folks, they got something going on right now because of the fact they have learned how to corner the internet and media, and they're advertising what they're doing. They're just using it as a hookup site. I'll tell you that right now. So granted, it's like the internet was always embracing to same gender folks. That's their business. If they want to do that stuff, they can do that stuff. Hello, Guitar Loop. I'm just going to call you Guitar because you seem to have a problem with how I pronounce key and K. I'm just going to call you Guitar, I think. Um, and so, oh, gay. Oh, okay, gay K? Is that, oh, he's gay. Oh, okay, I get it. He's gay. And that's why, when I say K, it sounds like gay. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Yeah, I was looking for you this morning to see if you were broadcasting, and then some other Japanese woman come up, and she actually doesn't even want to speak English at all. She spoke a little bit of English, but she's just Japanese, and so she's not really trying to communicate much with us. But I can't. Do you have any questions, Kay? Do you have any questions or anything? I know it's like what, 4 in the morning there, 3, 4 in the morning there, and you stay up all night. to try to get some views on your YouTube channel. That's my understanding. Which, I mean, it just doesn't. There's people in the United States who are doing the same thing, which just it makes no sense to me why they would do that. You should be getting a good night's sleep instead. Get a good night's sleep. You're not Kay. You don't want us to call you Kay anymore. You don't want to be called Kay. 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 You're well, how is it you understand what gay is? Because now yesterday, when I was on your live stream, you were telling me to, you wanted me to look up everything for you, but yet you understand all these other slang terminologies. I find that really interesting that there's a lot of selective things that you really, really understand well in the English language, which has me feeling like you know a lot more English than what you're letting on. I know. Well, are you sponsored by K from the letter alphabet by Sesame Street? Is that what you are? Hello, the Fortnite. G9424. Johnny Joink. Oh, I need to look at everybody else. Now, Kay, I can't just consume you all the time because you're always asking questions all the time. I do see you here, but I may not be able to answer every question. So we've got Johnny Joink, the Fortnite, G942 is here with us. Emmanuel Herring. Who else have we got? Smelly Cheese Man and Coca-Cola Lover. So, okay, so if you have any more questions or anything you would like to ask, if you want to talk about religion and how much we hate it, now, and how much we want to be a non-believer, and that I'm perfectly fine with that. You're not going to make me mad by any means at all. Because I've been accused of being all kinds of things that I'm not. And accused of things that I haven't done that are not crimes. I mean, technically, the things that have been done to me have actually turned the First Amendment into a crime. And I think the president, this was a discussion. Johnny Joink, lobotomy patient. Johnny, you had a lobotomy? Oh my goodness gracious. Golly me jeepers. Billy, Wally, and Beaver. Who is Billy? I have no idea who. William Billy, William Billy, William Billy Nilly Dilly. We could go on with that. Go on, Johnny Joink. Johnny Join K. Johnny Joink. Are you a LARPer by any chance, Johnny Joink? Are you a LARPer? A LARPer? Are you part of the LARPer family? Are we going to be getting a LARPer and LARPer law firm soon? I think we should. I mean, I know someone's trying to start a horny law firm and I'm not interested in that one. But they really do have a horny law firm. What country? I'm in a third world country. That's what country. I mean, I'm in a third world country. I'm living in a third world country. I mean, I and a developing nation. That's what country I am in. My country has no leadership right now. We lack leadership, and it's just like the wild, wild west. And I have had to go incognito due to my opinion on things because for some reason, the things I have to say, people don't like what I have to say. So when I'm telling the truth about things, they just don't like what I have to say. And it makes family uncomfortable. So that's why when I say it in front of strangers or other people that I identify with, it doesn't make them feel uncomfortable because they know, a lot of them know and understand. But when you say things around family that is truthful and you're just simply telling your opinion, they do not want to hear you. And so it's kind of like that thing in the Middle East. I'm in the United States. I will tell you that. I am in the United States. So you're lobotomized and you're giving out lobotomies. Lobo? Right. Okay, Lobo. Are you a loco Lobo? A Lobo loco. So you had your brain worked on a little bit? Is that what you're saying? You had your brain lobotomized, and so you let some doctor. Yeah, I mean, you did not let a Harvard doctor like Ben Carson go in and work on your brain, did you? Because I mean, we've always talked about Uncle Ben. He's very sounds like a very lovely man. And I always said that. And they were, oh my gosh, I remember someone was poking fun at him. And when they first introduced him, this was several years ago, and they first introduced him, and he had ties to Trump, and Dr. Ben Carson was talking just like this. He was talking in a really high voice, and someone gets on, they said, "Doesn't he sound just like Michael Jackson?" He sounds just like Michael Jackson. Well, I think they were trying to start some kind of conspiracy rumor that Dr. Uncle Ben Carson was actually Michael Jackson. I do. I really think that, that um related to how he was speaking in public, and but then they wanted to keep it going, apparently keep it going and going. um Maybe what? Maybe what, John Joink? What a name there, John Joink. I think it's a cute name actually. I know you're saying that you're a dude, so or are you? Because I have come across women posing as men, men posing as women, and this causes a lot of controversy for people. Um, now, the great thing though about the internet, if a woman wanted to be a pastor, there still seems to be a higher level of respect for males who are pastors than women. The same thing with the leadership. We are chipping away. We're all being a little bit of Rosie the Riveter. Even a lot of men are, and I have to admit that there's a lot of men who are trying to chip away at some of these stereotypes and things related to oppression of trying to balance some things. But in the meantime, we are chipping away at this, but we still have inflation. I don't know how to chip away at that because inflation is autonomous. Inflation is autonomous because, or is it? Because the private sector companies seem to get away with entirely too much of just raising prices just because they can. Just because they can. And then it seems like now governors, it's okay, they have this thing where in a state of an emergency, they can they implement this thing and say no more raising prices because they know price gouging happens. But what about the slow incline? The slow incline, the gradual step up that keeps going up higher and higher and higher. The governors have to know. They're not stupid. They have to know this is happening year over year over year. Now, and this is related to Wall Street. This is related to what the people of Wall Street do because their sole motivation is to make as much money as they can for their company. Now, think about this too. I'm hoping that this is not the direction that Google is taking us because technically, right now, all of us on YouTube, especially those of us who are not getting paid, we are exercising our freedom of speech, but at the same time, we're not getting paid. Now, it seems kind of odd to think it's like, well, Google is making the money, so we're making money for Google for free just by being on YouTube right now. So they are making the money. They could be just sitting on it. Who knows? I'm not sure. Um, so what country are you guys from? Do you care to share? Do y'all care to share? I think I scared Gay away. Did I scare you away, Gay? Um, because he wants me there just talking to him all the time. And, I don't mind talking to people who want to have a conversation. But sometimes there's a lot of people who are, oh, he's still here. He's in Japan. He said, and yesterday he was telling me where he was at in Japan, but he didn't know about the space laboratory. There's an observatory not far from where he's at on the beach. And there's an observatory not far from where he's at, and he was not familiar with the observatory, which had me thinking maybe he was someplace else, or he was not being, or he didn't know which country he's in. Um, that's what I'm thinking. He doesn't know what country he's in because they were talking about that. Our news media was talking about that, and they said they took some guys from Mexico and they dropped them off in Saudi Arabia. So they were flying them around on their vacation because apparently all these guys from Mexico just want to go on vacation all the time. And they ended up just dropping them off in the Middle East. That's what they did with them. And so I guess these guys from Mexico, they just like traveling, I guess. I mean, someone else is paying for them, so I would think they would have family that they would miss, and they don't want to just be dropped off over in the Middle East. So I've never traveled outside of the country. Okay, third world citizen. Which country are you in? Can you tell me that so I know which country you're talking about? I'm afraid of getting jumped. Oh, you're in, okay, you're afraid of getting, oh, you're in Jamaica. Oh, so you've never traveled outside of Jamaica and you're afraid of getting jumped. Um, I mean, are things that bad in Jamaica? Okay. Gay Guitar Loop says he was in Mexico yesterday. Uh-huh. I thought there was something kind of suspicious about Gay Guitar Loop there. Um, and so you're in Jamaica. So are things that bad in Jamaica that you're afraid of getting jumped? I mean, because I thought Jamaica was supposed to be. And you know what? If things are that bad, I think you should notify the United States State Department, and let them know that things are that bad in Jamaica, that people are getting jumped for the very fact that the State Department of the United States will put out a warning for travelers to not go to Jamaica. And I think that you should probably let the United States consular in Jamaica know that things are that bad in Jamaica so that we're not putting American citizens in harm's way, um, with things being that bad, because I know they're bad on the cruise ships. And it sounds like from the videos that I see, things are still bad on the cruise ships, that people are still fighting, and especially with, oh my goodness, Walmart. You guys have anything else you'd like to write, that you'd like to share? You can share it. Go right on ahead and share it. I mean, we're all repetitive. I'm repetitive. I'll tell you that right now. We're all repetitive. And we repeat things. And you know what? When we repeat things, a lot of times, that's how it makes sense in our brain. When we repeat things over and over again, then it tends to make sense of things. And then that's when I know I do start questioning. It's like, well, why is this happening? Why is this happening is a question I ask myself all the time, related to a lot of things. And so uh, religion is scary to me. Religion is scary in how it's been used as a tool against humanity. And, some of the history that I've been reading, it's been used against everyone, not just a certain subset of people. It's been used against everyone in our early history. With immigration into the United States, it's been used against everyone because I believe their thought process was that religion calms people down. But what they were doing is they were doing forced assimilation around the 1900s. So when they brought people from other countries to the United States, they were forcing them to go into church schools and to teach church. This is what I have, this is what keeps coming up to me over and over again through Canada and through the stories from a lot of people. And so it has nothing to do with any certain culture. It has to do with all of them. And I was just thinking, one of the biggest in my mind was the people who were Jewish. And it was almost like they were trying to eradicate the religion. And so the thing with religion, though, is you can't look at a person and tell what religion they are. And so I think I have a sneaky suspicion that Hitler knew that his country was against him because he was doing some really dirty deeds to the people in his country. And that's why people who had high-tech firearms had to get involved with Germany at that time. I mean, that's just kind of my understanding, because he was withholding basic necessities from his people. So that's a real human rights, a real human rights crisis there, where he's just withholding things from his people and he's causing them to starve to death. I mean, that's a problem. That's a big problem. Now on the other side of it, like here in America, we have inflation for some reason, and that causes people to become in an emotional distress. But it sounds to me like what they're saying, or some people have argued and said, well, prove emotional distress. Prove what emotional distress is. So they're wanting proof. So this enters into the realm of mental institutions. Well, a lot of the videos I've been listening to, and I knew this myself, the United States has been getting rid of mental institutions for this very reason, because they don't want people just thrown up and locked away in some mental institution that was designed for assimilation and slavery, and the mental institutions amount to nothing more than a prison. Have you guys thought about that? What's America like? America is very challenging. Okay, do you want to know about the countryside or the culture, as in the living circumstances? Because America is a very angry place right now. Okay, so if you're coming to look at the nature and countryside, it has a lot of similarities to other countries. That's what I'll say, because I've been lucky to go to 2 locations that are outside of the United States. Well, no, more than that. Well, technically Canada and Mexico are considered outside of the United States, but they are still America, though. So I mean, I've been to Canada and Mexico, the Caribbean, and to Europe. And these places, they look similar. I can go to Colorado and it looks similar to Germany. If I go to northern Colorado or go into the northern part of the United States, it looks similar to Canada, to Germany, probably northern Russia. If I looked on Google Maps, it's going to look similar as countryside. But the culture is hard because everybody says the same thing. Our political leaders are not listening to us related to inflation, because we hear the same story over and over and over again, and it just gets worse. And so the thing I've always heard is that we're not supposed to be spending more than 30% of an income on rent or housing at any given time. That's what I'd always heard. I want to take that down further than that. We shouldn't be spending any more than 5%. I'm going to go extreme. I am going way extreme. We should not be spending more than 5%, or if anything. And I was just thinking, okay, so the United States military, they have their budgeting. they're hurt by this too. And our political leaders don't seem to understand that. It's just like talking to a brick wall. And when you have Wall Street people who are making money from this, they just want to keep on making money. But they're a big part of the problem too, because a lot of the Wall Street companies, the brokerage companies, hedge funds, they run autonomously. So as long as they got money coming in and they're creating what they call new business, they don't care about inflation because they're being very, very irresponsible with how they're spending the money. And so, and it's like once you give money to people, they should be able to do with it what they want. But right now, at this point, a person who is on welfare, which includes Social Security, that is welfare, any type of money from the government is welfare. You can't go buy a house because you have to have a job. Because there's actually a person on a fixed income doesn't have a job to be able to meet the requirements to purchase a house. And what they've been building for the past 10 to 15 years is mansions. They've built apartments and mansions. Now, why is that? Because what they've been doing is building houses that are very large and that ordinary people, who is the majority of the American citizens, can't afford to buy. However, there's a certain element of people who are always placed into the mansions. Somebody is always placed into these mansions, and it has something to do with entertainment and Hollywood. I wouldn't be surprised if there's actually some. Well, there is pastors. They have talked about that in the past. I was thinking Jim and Tammy Faye Baker actually, I think, they lived in a mansion, and then they had the PTL ministry, praise the Lord. Joel Osteen did show his house, and he was trying to show that him and Victoria live in a very modest house, but I'm not so sure about that. They've tried to say that about Warren Buffett, that he always lived in a modest house. I'm not so sure about that. But I made another discovery too yesterday. Now, I do watch just the tiniest minute amount of cable TV from time to time. I'll turn on C-SPAN from time to time because that's the only connection I have with hearing things about the United States government. I don't trust the other fake news sources. So they this was on the internet actually. This came out and they showed this stream. They showed this live stream of Judge Jean Pirro being appointed into the Trump administration. And I thought, that's so strange. And I knew they threw that around. I knew they'd been throwing that around. She sounds just like Tammy Bruce. And when you look at her, she kind of has a little bit of a resemblance to Tammy Bruce. And I thought, how odd is that? Because they always talk about these celebrities having multiple personalities, working in different fields. It's the same thing with the comedians. They'll put, when I said Roseanne Barr went head on with Valerie Jarrett, who is some type of an activist, it's like, well, if you look at Valerie Jarrett, that's Roseanne Barr. So Roseanne Barr plays this part. And then she also plays herself. So she's going head on, face to face with her own self is basically what she's doing. So they've orchestrated this little stunt of the actors who are playing little tiny minute reality parts, and then they're creating government to be involved with it somehow. And because they're mega famous, then it reaches everybody just based on their name. And so it's kind of a deceptive practice. And so it's like, well, how did Valerie Jarrett just become so popular out of the blue and activist? And there was another one too, and I can't remember. Oh my gosh, she looked just like Monique. If you guys remember Monique, and she was a comedian. Monique just disappeared after she did the movie Precious. She just completely disappeared. And so she was talking about herself and her husband, and she was saying that they have an open relationship. People took that to mean something else, but Monique was saying, I have an open relationship. I talk to you guys about myself and my husband. That's my open relationship between me and my husband. Her husband didn't care that she was talking about their relationship. And then she just disappeared. but then there was this reporter in the White House press pool. I can't remember her name though, but she looked just like Monique, and this was during Donald Trump's first presidency. No, I don't. Why would I want you to leave? Um, okay, why would I want you to leave? I mean, you have a choice to be here. I'm just not fond of the deceptive nature. I mean, all of us, yes, we are all putting on this deceptive nature of things at times. Can you read my comment? Yes, I just read your comment. Is there more that if there's more that I'm missing, then that's YouTube doing something, because hang on. Oh, how did that happen? Okay, so yeah, all your I just changed it over. I'm not sure how it got flipped back to just top comments only, but I have all messages on here, and you have 2 comments here. If you wrote more than 2 comments, then YouTube is eating them. YouTube is eating the comments if you have written more than 2 comments, because that's all that I can see is 2 comments. And I know from time to time people do delete their comments, and then sometimes there's a moderator who might delete comments too. I don't have a moderator, and I don't plan on having a moderator for that very reason. I don't get enough comments on my videos to have a moderator. And if YouTube was to actually direct, let's say that I got lucky one day, and I had, I'm gonna keep it modest. Let's say that I had 500 people that was chatting on my video live stream at the same time. I wouldn't be able to read all the comments because it would be moving so fast. And so then I would have to put on the slow motion mode for comments. Well, let me see. Where's that at? Show all messages. Okay. Community moderation. Well, what we don't. Okay, blocked words, community defaults. I don't have any blocked words on here. I'm not doing that. Okay, community defaults. Hold potential. No, we're not going to do that. I was just looking to see if... No, I don't have the ability to put live chat summary. No, okay, I want to leave that on. So I don't have a slow mode on here, actually. Typically, we have a slow mode on here. So did you have more comments? I mean, I can't explain to you, Kay, what things mean. If you don't understand what they mean, you have to be able to look it up yourself. Because I can't force you, if that makes any sense. I can't actually force you to understand what things mean, Kay. And so that's the thing that is, for me is, so like when I'm writing to you and I write something and you're like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I can't, because it's like everything else that I would write to you to tell you from some that I could copy and paste, or just from my recollection. Because if I write something from my recollection, I'm telling you the meaning of how I understand it, which is not going to probably be exact how someone else understands it. And so, Miss 10, no offense, what if I said something rude to you? You deeply apologize, but there is the only one thing I'd like to believe. You're Japanese, and I'm watching from Japan. But you just wrote to me and you said that you were in Mexico yesterday. And so, yeah, right up here, you have the number 2 crown, and it says, I was in Mexico yesterday. So did you write that comment or not? Or do you have a doppelganger or a clone? Do you have a clone that it has mirrored your YouTube channel, and they are... They are making an identical YouTube channel to your YouTube channel, possibly? Is that happening? I see, I can't read that. I have no idea what that is, because I don't read Japanese. I mean, and I don't know what I didn't write that. You're Mexican. Yeah. Okay. So so there's two of you. There must be two of you in there. If you didn't write it and you're saying you're Mexican, then um then you must have a clone of some sort. I've seen that happen. I've seen the most I've actually seen, I believe, are two people. And the other thing I've seen lately is oh, people on TikTok. They said that what they said is their YouTube channels are just showing up on TikTok now. And so there's this guy, Gary, I believe he's from China maybe, and he speaks really, really good English, and he's doing pearls. And he is he's collecting pearls that have been seeded, and so he shows that on camera, and that's just basically what he does. It is kind of interesting, but he gets boring at times. I mean, I like watching him from time to time, and so he's not and over on TikTok he was answering questions, but on YouTube he doesn't respond to us. So I'm just wondering if his TikTok channel is being just run through YouTube from time to time, and he can't actually see what we're writing on YouTube, but then sometimes we see both. And sometimes we can write comments, like do you ever watch Doc Compton, K? Do you ever watch? So you said you're Mexican. So you're Mexican and you're not Japanese. I mean, because I kind of think that Mexicans and Japanese look just almost identical to each other. I mean, that's just my opinion. It's not meant to offend anybody. Um, and I would say the same thing, that a lot of people from America and Europe look like Russians and Germans and people from Switzerland and from Scandinavia and Norway and that region. So there seems to be, people who are taller up north, maybe. It's possible, I'm not sure. But no, that cancels Africa cancels that out, because there's a lot of tall people in Africa too. So I can't say that all people up north are tall, because there's a lot of tall people in Africa and they're not pygmies. Or you could test me right now. What are you talking about? Test you as in how? I'm not sure what you're talking about. What do you mean test you? I was just thinking, okay, so how could I make you believe I'm Japanese and yesterday you were watching my stream that was Japan, early time Japan? Oh, I know exactly how that works. You were using a software filter. I mean, the thing is, you may not even be a Japanese guy, because the filter made you look old. I'll just tell you that right now. The filter made you look like made you look like you were about yeah, yesterday you said it was Japan, but there was nothing in your live stream. Well, the thing is people have been live streaming on YouTube with artificial intelligence, and they've had live streams that have been lasting for years and years and years, like the sleep study one. That's been going on for years and years and years, and they just run the same thing over and over and over and over again, and they just let it run and run and run and run. I can't do that. Why can't I do that and actually just let it run on my channel and earn lots of revenue that way? I've been asking that question. It's like, well, why can't I just let a consistent live stream run? I bet I would make. I bet I would. If I had the ability to, I would just take over everything on YouTube related to maybe one topic. I don't want to take over all the money, because I don't like the idea of greed. I just like the idea of comfort and being able to buy something for myself. But let's say that I came up with one topic, and I made 20, 30, 40, $50,000 a month, and I made myself rich off of one topic only, and I turned my channel into artificial intelligence and just let the channel run autonomously. Don't you think I would be probably be in the realm of just pulling in a bunch of views and a bunch of money that way? I mean, because then I wouldn't actually have to be on YouTube all the time. I just let my channel run. Now, I don't know how it would work with people though, because I'm thinking you got to have a person there that's talking. What I'm doing right now is an audio podcast, so I'm just one person talking. But when they do the other ones, the autonomous ones, and just let them run all the time, somehow they have that hooked up to the computer, and then it's just running all the time. So you said Kumamoto Prefecture. Yes, I live there. Yes. What? I don't know if that's where you live or not. Well, I was saying near a place, and then there was an observatory that I had mentioned yesterday too. I don't have my Japanese map up. I don't live in Japan, but there was an observatory near the beach, and I was thinking, well, even if and so you were saying you live there, and when you live in a place, you learn about all the things in your local area usually. If there's something new, and I don't think the observatory is new, but if there is something new, I mean, I can give a person a little bit of grace for not knowing that something is new. But I'm thinking the space observatory in Japan on that beach, you didn't know where that was at. I don't remember the name of it now. I don't remember the name of the space observatory, but I mentioned it in your live stream yesterday. Maybe you missed it. Maybe you didn't have your comments on all comments, and so you weren't reading all of mine, which I don't expect you to read all of my comments because you had a lot of people commenting to you, and I don't want to hog up all your time. You have other people to talk to besides me. And, I've actually had people who have no one, this is going to be funny. There's this guy, and he has nobody. Yeah, something Machi, like Ralph Macchio, something like that. Yeah, I was talking about Ralph Macchio from The Karate Kid. And so, but anyway, there's this guy, and he sometimes has nobody chatting to him, or he might have one or two other people, and he just makes an excuse and just wants to completely ignore me. So when I'm using an identity and he can't figure out if I'm male or female, if he thinks I'm male, he will talk to me more, which I think is kind of funny. If I put on a really strong male persona, he will talk to me. But if he thinks I'm female, he just wants to mess with me related to calling me a women's libber. And what else? What else was it? He just wants to be really shitty to me. And so right now I have a persona that I've been using on him, and he said he can't tell if I'm male or female, which I think is funny. I mean, yeah, I might be called a troll for doing that. But the thing is, it's like, well, okay. I mean, they're trying, what they're doing is trying to purposely make women mad by calling women women's libbers. And it's like, well, what does that mean? We don't know what that means. I mean, because men want to, and so he doesn't want to, and then what he says is he's like, oh, I'm not going to read your comments because you write too much. He says, you wrote a novel. I'm just not going to read the whole thing. So for me, I get to the point, it's like, okay, if you're not going to read it, then why should I even bother writing anything on your channel? So there's these American men who just absolutely don't want a long conversation. They're just on the internet just to be disruptive, because I think there's something that they haven't been able to do, and so they're just on the internet to be disruptive right now. And they sound a little bit like, I understand you because of the fact that you're from another country, and so for you it takes longer to understand words and things like that. But these other men, they just don't want to, I'm not sure what they're doing, if they're artificial intelligence or if they're literally, so this one guy, he's driving down the road and someone asked him if, well, he was in a car accident, and someone asked him if his insurance company watches him while he's driving down the road. So he was doing this thing of, he showed a picture of a woman who was sitting on the ground, and he said that was the woman who ran into him. And I had told him, I said, why do you have to trash her? So to me, I just saw it as nothing but a commercial that he was putting in the middle of his live stream for some insurance company. And so he's been portraying that he's a lawyer, and he has on a military uniform. And so the thing with that and the military uniform, a lot of people from foreign countries have stolen the pictures of soldiers, and then they put it on their self because they want to talk to American women for some reason. I don't know why. I really don't know why. Miss 10, to be honest, I feel hurt because yesterday you said you were wearing a wig. I did. You did look like you're wearing a wig, and today all of a sudden you started calling me gay guitar. I just don't like it. I also have a mind. Okay, well, you seem to understand. Now, why is it when I was typing to you on your live stream, you didn't understand anything? That's what I was seeing. You did not understand a thing. But when I'm talking to you in the live stream, you understand everything. There's something I find very confusing about this because you seem to fluently understand what I'm saying to you when I'm talking to you through the computer. But then when I type to you, you don't understand that. Or you just don't want to read it when I'm typing to you. You just don't want to understand it. I did say that. Absolutely, I did. I said it did look like you had on a wig. It looked like you had on a wig. Because you know what it looked like? Well, it looked like one of those where your head was all bald, and that you had on an AI wig. That's what I was calling it, more or less an AI wig. I don't know why your feelings would be hurt for that. And the other thing that I was seeing too is that you looked a lot older than what you were saying. You were saying you were 44 years old, but you had a lot of wrinkles on your face because English is not my mother tongue. And so you, so I, I mean, I don't know why. I mean, I would think you'd want to talk to people in your own country. That's what I'm thinking. Don't you think so? I mean, if it's that hard, because I know, like I just leave if I can't speak, because what happens is that like the women who speak foreign languages, most of the time, okay, this is what happens. I'll tell you what happens. So I didn't say I'm 44 years old. I said I'm in my late 40s. I thought I heard you say you were 44 years old. I did. I was pretty sure that I saw you write, unless that was the clone. I was pretty sure I saw you write that you were 44 years old. I was pretty positive about that. And then I heard you later say that you were, um, I mean, someone in your comments wrote that or something. They said, oh, you're 44 years old. And then maybe about 5 minutes later, then you're saying you're in your late 40s. And so I found that odd because you distinctly said you were 44 years old. I don't know if you were the clone, but I'm thinking that you have a clone. And when I say clone, that means that your channel has been cloned by someone else. And so if you want to understand that, you're going to have to type that in your native mother tongue to figure out and understand what that means. What that means is that someone else is running a clone of your channel on the internet, and they're impersonating you. Now, that's popular for people to do. I don't know. Well, I think it's more popular in marketing. And so when they run the clone channels, this is something that's popular that the celebrities will do. And so they run clone channels because they want to boost up the presence of their celebrities. And so I don't know if you look like someone in Japan, or if you're hired, or if you're just misidentified possibly, and so someone's just taking advantage of you being on the internet. I'm just not sure. But if you look like a celebrity, it is against the law in Japan. I'm not sure what you mean, the law in Japan. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Can you elaborate on what the low in Japan means? Or you mean low views, or you can't get views possibly? Is that what you're talking about? Because I'm not sure what you mean by low. Oh, law. Oh, that doesn't matter. We're not in Japan. In the United States, we're not in Japan. So in the United States, it can do whatever they want. Law, what does the law matter in Japan? I don't care about the law in Japan. I'm in the United States. Yeah, I don't care about the law in Japan. Laws in Japan are meaningless to me. I mean, you're going to have, I don't know what the Japanese laws are. So here in the United States, it's common for celebrities to actually create multiple channels. And they do that, even though we don't like it here in the United States, but they do that anyway. And they've hired people from outside of the United States on a bunch of Indonesian and Taiwanese islands, and even India. And so they've hired these people outside of the United States, and even in Africa. Oh yes, you can make a clone. On the internet you can make a clone, and the internet makes a clone all the time. The internet, even in and of itself, does mirror websites. They have to. Because there's so much data, they have to make clones through the mirror websites. Otherwise, you lose your internet altogether if you don't allow for the internet to use mirror websites and clones of things, because of the fact that, and when you back up, you're making a clone. When you okay, it's a copy. So the internet, when they make multiple data centers, there's a great possibility with the backup, there's going to be, so this is to prevent data loss. Otherwise, if you just put a YouTube channel just on one data center, on just one hard drive, and the hard drive goes bad, then you've lost the YouTube channel. You've lost the YouTube channel altogether. I mean, now, I don't know, maybe Google's clones have gone rogue. Maybe they did. They might have gone rogue. That's a great possibility. I don't know, because I know Google is having a lot of issues right now, and they're not paying any attention to us, and it seems like they do have a lot of rogue clones taking place. But now, Third World Citizen says, it's hot outside, don't know why I'm sweating. Oh. Are you a military veteran? Third World Citizen. Are you a military veteran in the United States? Because I know I was talking to you yesterday, Guitar K, and you said that you didn't want to believe in the different degrees of people who are homeless. And so basically you just expect people just to be homeless and have no voice. Have no voice, have no computer, have no means of doing any banking or anything. Otherwise, you just don't believe in homelessness. That's what you were saying to me yesterday. And I didn't like that. I'm not offended by it, but I don't like that thought process of just shutting someone off just because you're saying that you don't agree that you just want people to be street homeless, living on the street. Otherwise, you can't get anybody's attention. Well, then you end up with people being dead. You're a normal Japanese guy too. Okay, well, you're a normal Japanese guy. Alrighty. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with that. Um, like, are you trying to find a date or something? Is that what you're looking for? Because there was a woman I was trying to chat on her channel, and she was Japanese just before me. And so she had like a marijuana leaf on her pillow or something like that. Maybe the two of you would get along. That's Japanese case, the Japan situation. Well, what is the Japan situation that you're referencing? Could you elaborate a little bit? I don't know what the Japan situation is that you're talking about, because I don't pay any attention to Japan. I have a hard enough time trying to find something credible in my own country, in my own third world country in the United States. Because we have a whole lot of problems, and the immigration thing has made the problems in the United States much worse. If we didn't have immigration, maybe we could have gotten a handle on things, but the immigration made it. Oh, you have homeless people in Japan? Are you saying that now, that you do have homeless people in Japan? Because yesterday you were telling me that homelessness was not that bad in Japan, and you were saying that I was exaggerating when I said there are homeless people in Japan, and I was reading through YouTube, and there was a guy who actually has a YouTube channel, and he's talking about, he said there's an internet cafe in Japan where he goes, and he is there as a homeless person using the internet cafe. So where do you expect homeless people to go to do business? Because they have things they need to do. How do homeless people get money? They have to have money to survive, because in the United States, in this third world country of the United States, the only way to survive is with money. If you come to the United States and you just come, you're going to be homeless. And that's the same thing with all these other people. Oh, let me tell you something else I stumbled upon yesterday on YouTube. Now, I stumbled upon this woman. Oh, she had a video that was about 3 days old, and she was from the tiny living community. And so the tiny living community are the people who had what they called was a great suggestion for military veterans to be living in little tiny homes that were like Home Depot sheds, and they were hot boxes. And it's like, well, if they think that's so great, they should maybe do it themselves, because I think military veterans deserve more than that. That's just my personal opinion. But yet, and they're part of that tiny living community. And so what they did is they claimed that they gave up their houses, and then all of a sudden they're showing up in RV campers, and they're hauling stuff around, and they're living tiny in campers, and they're camping out in parking lots of Walmart and hospitals, and staying overnight in gas stations and things like that. Well, this woman said Congress has implemented a law that says that they can't actually stay in these places for more than 7 days. And so they were also talking about how the woman was saying she can't go to her relative's house and park her camper in the driveway anymore because they'll make her leave. And I'm thinking, well, if you go to just a regular city, it's very unlikely. Nobody from the city is going to make you leave. So it sounds to me like she's going to a home association, planned unit development community, who's going to make her leave. So it kind of sounds like the home associations have decided that they don't want a camper in the front of the driveway for more than 7 days. But I know the home association that I used to live in, they did allow campers to be, I think it was on the side of the yard, in the grass, and in the backyard. They said people could park their RVs in the backyard. That's what I remembered. They didn't care if you parked, because I had a neighbor, and he had his backyard loaded up with boats, and all kinds of things. Boats, like a trampoline, all kinds of stuff. There was one guy one time, he took a boat that looked like it was meant to be an ocean cruiser, and he put it in the lagoon. He was backing his boat up with a truck, and he had it backed up into the lagoon. And it was a small lagoon. I'm not even sure if the boat would have actually stayed upright if he would have been successful in getting the boat into the lagoon. And I thought, what is this guy doing? He's trying to put a giant boat, which was, well, it wasn't a Forrest Gump boat. It was like it was more like it was an ocean liner type boat, but it was small, that maybe you could put maybe 10 people on the boat. And so Kay says that was Tokyo case. Okay. Tokyo is the most populated city in the world. Completely different topic. We have to obey. I don't know what you're talking about, obey. I don't have to obey anything. I don't have to obey you. So let's get that clear. I don't have to obey anything that you say. Anyway, I don't like you calling me AI. Okay, well, you don't like that. Okay, well, whatever. I don't know what to do with that. What I said is I think you're using AI. I didn't call you AI. It seems to me like all you want to do is argue about nothing. Um, so I mean, I just don't know what to do with that, because I just don't. I mean, you kept saying that you wanted to have a real conversation, and it doesn't really seem like that you want to have a real conversation about anything, except to argue. And I'm not really interested in arguing about things that are, I'm interested in talking about things that are important in life, and homelessness is one of them. Homelessness and being displaced, not having a place to live, and people coming from all over the world to the United States and thinking that things are great in the United States. And that's what I was talking about, that Jesus, religion, and how we have another problem, because church, we have all these pastors in the United States. One of the problems with the pastors is, if you tell the pastor you're homeless, the pastor is, well, oh, I was homeless at one time. Well, the pastor in turn then is basically dismissing the parishioner who is saying that they were homeless by the pastor saying, oh, I was homeless and I found a way out of it. It's like, well, but then the pastor never actually shares how how they got out of homelessness. They just, basically it's like they prayed to God and God got them out of homelessness. So they fabricate. The pastors are doing a lot of lying and fabricating stories and things like that. Now, how do you know about all these movies and everything like that being in Japan? How do you know about all these movies? Because you shouldn't know about these movies being in Japan. What about Jenny? Forrest Gump and Jenny. I mean, how is it that you know about Forrest Gump and Jenny being in Japan? Don't you have your own Godzilla movies and things like that in Japan? I mean, I don't know why you would know about all these American movies and things. I know that American movies have reached around the world, but it just seems like I can't imagine that Japan is that interested in American movies that you would know about Forrest Gump and some of those storylines. So that just doesn't make any sense to me right there. Um, Yeah, but it's old. I mean, it's like I most movies that they did in the United States, I have no idea what they even are. The majority of them, a majority of them, I'm not even interested in. So there's a lot of famous movies that I have no idea what they even are. People ask me about movies all the time, and I just have to say I have no idea. I've never watched it before, because it's just not something that I was interested in. I wasn't that big of a movie buff. I did, I watched some movies in the 1990s time frame when movies were popular and we were watching them on VHS and things like that. But that they've kind of deteriorated since then. And it's my understanding that Hollywood has been using AI to make AI movies, and they have AI singers. So go figure. So we've been listening to artificial intelligence for a very, very long time related to music. And so when you get these music artists out in public, they can't do a concert. Do you know why? Because they didn't sing the music. They don't even have it memorized. So what they did was a likeness of a real human being. And so they create a concert with a likeness, maybe a hologram of some sort. They're not even singing. And so you have people who are just famous for being famous because it's tabloid gossip garbage. And so that's where things have deteriorated to here in the United States. And but yet the money is still being put into celebrities for some reason. I don't know why. I mean, it's like America. There's Americans who have there's more to people than just being in a movie. Let me drill it down a little further. There's more to human beings than just being in a movie, than just being a celebrity, than just being a brand. There's a lot more to human beings than just having ties to some celebrity organization. That's just what I think. That because people then become overlooked and missed, and so I mean, there must be something that I know you said you were having a hard time related to what you're supposed to do on the internet. And so if you don't have I mean, it's like I know a lot of you were hired to do things that we just do every day. It's like nobody wants to look at people just sleeping on the internet. We just don't. You know, um, Now what I would suggest, okay, this is what I'm going to do, Kay, if you need more suggestions. Do you know how to draw? You don't have to draw really, really good, but you can draw. So you don't have to use your human presence in all videos. So if you want to orchestrate something to tie in with what's being done in the United States, you can draw the word sleep. Do you know how to write the word sleep? Write the word sleep and make something artistic about it. That's just a suggestion. I'm not telling you that you have to do it. Maybe that's something I will do too. I'll make a short little video uh, doing some artwork with the word sleep in it. Just a short little video that's less than 3 minutes. You should have the ability. You like painting. Okay, I like painting too. I've done painting as well. So we can agree on that. Painting is fun. Drawing is fun. Do you like colored pencils? Yeah, it's just like painting. Yes, absolutely like painting. And you can talk a little bit in it if you know English. So say that there is 1,000 of us who just decide to make something that has the word sleep in it at the same time, then there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff come up with sleep. And so we put the word sleep in our title, like a sleep drawing, sleep artwork. We can just write the word sleep, or we can draw an easy picture of someone sleeping. It doesn't have to be a fancy picture. It does not have to be a fancy picture. And so you guys can tie right in on this and use what you have, because the thing is that I mean, I'm not a singer myself. I am not a singer. I can sing, but I'm not what would be considered a professional singer. I've never been a professional singer. um, Typo do right. Typo. Yeah, well, yesterday, yeah, I remember yesterday that I wrote a typo and I retracted the message because I subtracted the message because I was trying to write it the right way so you would understand it. But I accidentally wrote the wrong thing yesterday. And so I thought, well, I'm trying to put it in a format. So, because I knew you said you were trying to understand English better. And so so I was trying to write it the right way. That's why I retracted the message. And so, but what we're coming across is a lot of people who are anti against the internet, which I think is coming out of the religious realm. And I'm going to keep saying that because I'm finding the religious people are heavy with moderation. And so the religious folks are actually using moderation as a reason to delete people's comments. And they're using retracted messages too. So they'll just delete all the messages off of, if they write something, then they'll delete all the messages and questions that they asked in the live stream. So then when the person when they have their comments come back up, then it doesn't make any sense. And so it's almost like they're talking to their self, because then the YouTuber who left the comments, then it doesn't show up. And so they're making up lies and things. And so I've been studying English for about 30 years, but my English is still poor. Oh my God. Well, that's interesting that you've been studying English for 30 years. Well, you see, you comprehend some things better than other things, which is, and I've noticed that with people who come to the United States from other countries, or they say they've lived in the United States for 20 years and then they still have an accent. It's like, that makes no sense to me, because it's like when you live inside of a country for that long, I'm thinking eventually there's going to come a time that you start understanding the language, unless you're completely isolated away from everybody who speaks English. Because I've said that, like with high school, that now my son studied German when he was in high school. And I've thought, well, unless he has someone to speak German with, then he's going to lose what he learned related to German, if he's even interested in speaking German anymore. Because when you don't have someone to speak the language with, then you're going to lose, you're not going to be able to communicate. You kind of lose, you might lose a little bit, but then again, you might remember though too. But I think it's deceptive for, and it probably can be confusing. I was always thinking about, related to the parents. They want to speak bilingual to their kids and preserve the language. I'm not sure why they want to speak it in the United States. Well, if they want to speak to their grandparents, that makes sense. So when someone migrates to the United States and they want their kids to grow up and understand their grandparents, otherwise you're going to have grandparents and grandkids who don't even know what each other's saying. Because now there are men who, once they get their foreign bride over to the United States, they will not let her speak her native tongue. I have seen that. I've seen that on YouTube videos too. And the man says, we agreed together when I brought her to the United States, she is not going to speak her native tongue anymore. It's just going to be English, and we are not going to teach the kids any of the foreign language from where she came from. And he's very adamant about that. And so it's kind of had me wondering. Now, I don't know what he would do with it if, for example, his kid went to school and wanted to learn that foreign language as school, if he would reject that, because a lot of schools do teach foreign languages in schools. But I know with Google Translate, you know what it's taught me? Google Translate has taught me a lot. It has taught me that the world, at any given time, there is languages that we are probably speaking very, very closely together, but it seems like English could be a majority. That I think English speaking is the leader right now, and the other languages follow. And there's a lot of languages that are very close to English. A lot of our words intermingle and cross over. We don't know where the words came from. We make up new words all the time. So what did you put in here? Okay, let me read here, Kay, what you wrote. And so probably I've watched the movie Forrest Gump at least 100 times with Englishman subtitles. I learned a lot. That's why I still remember the boat named Jenny. Oh, Jenny the boat, yeah? Forrest loved Jenny a lot. I find it interesting that you're talking about Forrest Gump and Jenny right now. Yes, English is the international language. English, well, and we also have to consider the United Kingdom and Scotland are English as well. Those of us in the United States understand people in the United Kingdom and Scotland and even Canada, even though Canada does have Quebec, which I believe is primarily French speaking, or is it? I don't know, because I always made assumptions that Canada was primarily English speaking, but I wasn't positive, except for the French sector. Do you support interracial dating? Do I support interracial dating? What are you calling interracial dating? That's not my decision to make for everybody. If other people want to do it, that's fine. That's not my decision to make for people. That's just it. I can support it for other people to do. That's their choice. It's not something that I am going to go all nutso and crazy about related to. I wouldn't. It would be a waste of my time to petition Congress to get rid of interracial dating. That's not something I would do. That would be a waste of time. That would be just like the gender blocking thing. So the gender blocking thing turns out that it was a big waste of time. So I would not be one to say, I want to eradicate interracial dating because it's not something that's ever going to happen. One time, this girl that was white told me she liked guys like me. But for me, American English is standard English nowadays. There was a girl who was white who told me she liked guys like me. Now, the third world citizen, I'm wondering who that guy would be. Like guys like him. This has got to be AI and autonomous AI talking right now. Yeah, because you guys are on a repeater right now. And so I did say and write some things about what's interracial dating. Yes, you explained to me what interracial dating is, Kay. You explained that to me. I mean, Kay, I will tell you what interracial dating is. Okay, what's the human race? What is an interracial of the human race? Okay, listen now. What is an interracial of the human race? It is a very sensitive topic. I mean, Kay, does it seem realistic that a human being could mate with an elephant? Is that realistic? Do you understand me? Yes, I'm asking you a question, Kay. Could you please explain this to me? Could an elephant and a human being have a baby together? I know. I don't know. What is it? The only thing I can think of interracial would be between animals. Because when you boil it down and you look at human beings, we all look the same, except we do have some differences. Okay, we have boys, we have girls, we have women, we have men. We do have birth defects and anomalies. However, I will say that people who have birth defects and anomalies and other things going on, that's how they were born. We accept that. That's how they were born. I don't believe that God or Jesus or medicine can actually change how people are born, the way they're born. There's nothing that's going to change how a person is born. So if a person is born and they have the inclination to be drawn towards same genders, that's their preference. That's fine. They can do that by themselves. I'm not interested in participating. And that's the same thing with whatever interracial is if you have two people that like each other, they're attracted to each other, that's fine. That's for them. No matter what they look like, that's for them to do. That doesn't mean I have to participate in it. So it's the culture that makes us different. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. The culture, the countries, yes. Because okay, I'll share a little bit more history with you related to the United States and the early 1900s. Because when people came to the United States, they wanted to erase. This is what I hear screaming at me loud and clear after the past 6 years here. They wanted to erase the German identity to people who are integrating to the United States. Now, people who came from Africa, they could not erase African history because the thing with it, people from Africa, they have their complexion. And so they can say, oh, look, I came from Africa. Same thing with Mexico. Oh, look, I came from Mexico. I'm brown or I'm black, even though they're not brown and black, they just have a darker complexion, But you look at what's considered a white person, there's still tan and darkness that's involved on white people too. Um, but it's just like it to me. When they talked about the German scientists that came to the United States, or they said they called it Operation Paperclip or something like that. These German scientists came into the United States. But the thing that I hear related to religion and culture related to Germany and the Holocaust, they integrated the people into the United States and then wanted to strip away their identities. And the same thing with the Native Americans that were here in America. So it was just like someone was forcing an assimilation of the United States. So they were doing a forced assimilation into the United States. So they forced people to go to church. The people that came from foreign countries, they stripped away their identity, gave them new names, new identities, and said, okay, you're going to go to church, and this is going to be your new name. Your father now is the president of the United States, which was George Washington, because that's Melania Trump was under that. And when she did she did a naturalization ceremony recently, and they still say the same thing, that the president of the United States is their father, which means that Melania is married to her father, because Donald is her husband at the same time, but when she was naturalized, the president of the United States is her father. So whoever is president is now her dad. So Melania is actually married to her dad right now, because when she did her naturalization ceremony, that's how it's explained to us. So it's the culture that makes us different. Yes, I absolutely third world country. I absolutely agree with you. Today I understand your English is like 20%. It's super, super difficult. It's super duper difficult to understand. Okay, so third world citizen says the culture is that makes us different. And it is what is taught, the teachings of the cultures of each country is what makes us different. So each country is teaching difference on purpose. They're teaching differences, just like church teaches differences. Each country and each culture teaches differences. So it's kind of like churches. So with the churches, they're like, well, if you don't attend this church, then they're competing. It's a competition. So it's like, well, with countries, you're born into the country. And then, but right now, here in the United States, we keep hearing this thing of, well, there's all these people who think America's so great, they want to come to the United States. And I keep asking why. Why do they want to come to the United States? Because it's like we have prices that keep going up, things keep getting more expensive. And why do they want to come to the United States? And so then they're lying about their status, and they're saying that they need to seek asylum from something. I'm not sure what. Well, it's like, well, where do American citizens go to seek asylum? Where would people... Okay, so say you come to the United States, you seek asylum in the United States, then the United States has problems, and people start leaving America. Or want to leave America, where would people from America go? Where would people from the United States of America go when we have a rogue president, and who is someone who is against us and not for our best interest at heart? Where would people from the United States go to live? Oh, you got to go? Okay. Well, it's nice talking to you. I got to go too, because I've been on here quite some time. And so it was nice chit-chatting with you. Hopefully you understood enough. And so we'll talk to you. Go get some sleep, and we'll talk to you later. You can do your own live stream. I'll go watch you do your live stream, and we'll get more confusion probably through there, right? Right, we will.